We the People of Detroit is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, We the People of Detroit aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid Jim Crow current past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement. In your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You are born to lead. Even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine. You made Damon, Nefertari, Stephen, Maya. Her children always knew she was larger than life. When you are a woman in the movement, you take the children with you on the journey. You bring the babies with you to your college classes. When you travel to Ghana for the first time, it will be with your daughters in tow. When you are a fearless, nationalist thinking mama, mothering never stops with your own babies. 30 godchildren and mentees across the globe. The daughter of a ministering mother is already ordained for good trouble. A seer, a prophetic young student preparing for her lifelong role as servant to her own community. When your purse was snatched in a Farmer Jack parking lot many years ago with your kids' tickets to Run DMC in the purse, you made sure they still got to that concert and even hosted Melly Mel and the Furious Five in your living room, because queens make it look easy. When you're a single mom, people will tell you what you can't do. Instead, you move to New York City with all 4 of your C's to do your necessary work with the YWCA, because queens make it look easy. Ghana, Togo, South Africa, where is your heart, Mama Watson? Nurturing spirit, baking melt in your mouth, homemade biscuits. How many hours do you sleep, Warrior Watson, with endless work ethic and blue-collar blood racing through your veins? How do we say thank you for your work, your time, your heart? We know you will never really retire. There is a fire on the path to freedom. There is smoke, there is sacrifice. There are stories of justice, of women, of Tubman, Sojourner, of Angela, Asada, Coretta, and Merle, and Betty, and Queen Mother Moore. Some of us know we are ancient, that our marrow is laced with legacy, that we are here to bring light to our daughters. Sometimes it just takes one woman, a mother, a grandmother, a Spitfire, griot, a sister, the only woman to lead the NAACP's largest chapter. She, daughter of the movement, of Rosa, of Irma. She was a birth that gave birth to possibility for other young activists like me, a true D woman, frontline Fatima, Nigerian blood, councilwoman, leader, truth teller, Joanne Watson, social worker, president of the Anti-Klan Network, sister, inspiration, dedicated to the protection of girls and the voices of women wrapped in West African beauty, regal and resilient. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up, South Africa. Wake up, Cuba. Wake up, small business owners. Wake up, White House. Wake up, reparations. Wake up, teachers. Wake up, women. Wake up, schools. Sleeping is not an option when the Honorable Joanne Watson is in the room.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson. This is your wake-up call. This is the wonderful opportunity for you to get to know one of the baddest sisters in the state of Michigan. Rachel Saltmarshall is in the house. Rachel Saltmarshall. She is a black lady contractor. She's a realtor. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's an activist. And I'm going to ask her to introduce her wonderful son, who is sitting right next to her and who's also part of her business.
This is my son, Bryce Burnside. He is also a licensed general contractor.
Come on now.
22 years old.
Come on now.
Is it 22 now? Yeah, 22 years old. He is my youngest son. My oldest is 31. He'll be 31 next month.
Praise God.
But this is the one that saw a need, felt that he needed to step in and assist his mother because he saw the struggle. He saw, just the fact that I needed him.
Yes.
And he was actually a student at Wayne State.
My.
And studying music.
Yeah.
Violin performance.
Excellent.
And he came to me. Yeah, he came to me and he said, I don't think I need to go to school for music. I really like what I do with you, and I really want to help you out.
I love it.
And I said, hey, if this is really what you want to do, I'm going to pour into you.
Yes.
And I told him, I said, but, I kind of really want you to get that degree being a black male.
Yes.
And I told him, think about it for 2 weeks. And he said, okay. 2 weeks came, and he came to me and he said, I had already dropped my classes 2 weeks ago.
He's ready. He's ready. We're so proud of you. That speaks to character. Seeing where there's a need and where you can be poured into the business. Yeah. Bryce Burnside, so proud of you.
Thank you.
Rachel Saltmarshall, tell us what were the stepping stones to get you into this role as being such an absolutely distinguished black lady contractor in Detroit.
Actually, I wanted to just focus on my real estate business.
Yes.
Being a real estate broker, past president of the Detroit Association of Realtors.
Come on now.
And that's what I wanted to focus on, but it wasn't. How might I say? I thought that I could stay at my desk.
Yes.
Go out, write the contracts and everything, sit back, allow my project manager to manage the projects and everything, and everything would be good.
Right.
But it didn't work out like that, and the guy ended up getting away with $20,000, and
have mercy.
I ended up. This was like my second major project, and it needed to get done.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even call the client and tell the client, that there was theft going on because. I said, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
But just so happens the guy who was stealing the money was already going behind my back talking to the client. And
wow.
And so he called the client and told the client that I fired him. And then the client called me and said, Rachel, you fired so-and-so? And I said, yeah, he was stealing. And he said, oh, my God, I can't believe this. Because this was a guy that, he was God-fearing, he would pray before the project started and everything. But
help me, Holy Ghost.
He was going behind my back, contacting the client. Hey, I know you gave Rachel, $5,000 for this, but I need to divert the funds to do this. And he would ask him, well, did you talk to Rachel about it? And he'd say, oh yeah, I talked to her about it. And then when I gave him the money,
that's a violation.
Exactly.
A breach of trust, a breach of profession,
exactly.
And theft, grand theft.
Yeah. So it was $30,000 was what was missing. We could account for 10,000 of it because some of the HVAC was in, The electrical, it was just temp lights in, and I'm like, oh my God. But we still had 32 windows to install, 16
Wow.
doors,
Wow.
180 sheets of drywall to hang. We
Have
still
mercy.
had all of this stuff done, and it was only $40,000 left.
Wow.
So I couldn't find, all the folk that I used, because I was a foreclosure, an REO broker. So
Yes.
I had a lot of, guys who did a lot of the renovations.
Right.
Did a lot of stuff as far as on those properties, but none of them could finish what needed to be done for $40,000.
Wow.
And this was material and labor.
Mercy.
So I ended up having to put the real estate on hold and stepped in, and it took me 4 months
Wow.
every single day, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day,
Wow.
grinding in this 2-unit, putting it together. At that time, my son was
Now that
20.
says something about your character. You could have
Yeah.
walked away,
Exactly.
but you didn't.
Exactly. Because he wouldn't give the money back.
You honored the commitment that had been made, even with theft going on.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
And you stepped in and did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we finished it within those 4 months. Got all
Excellent.
our green stickers and everything. And to this day, I even put on the back burner the client paying me the labor, because I said, you know what, after we get a tenant in here, get our tenants in, you can just, pay me monthly on the labor. But it turned out, we ended up with tenants that were just terrible. Didn't want to pay rent. When they couldn't pay the rent, they called the city and said, hey, this and this is going on. And mind you, they moved into 2 completely renovated units. And so the client ended up, he got real sick and everything. And I offered him, I said, hey, I can take it off your hand, because he stopped paying the taxes and he was about to lose it to taxes. And I said, let's not do that. I
Let's
can
not
give you
lose it.
this, let's
Right.
just waive the labor costs,
Yes.
that you owe me and everything. And hey, I got 5 G's. Go ahead and, deed it over. And so that's what happened. And to this day, that property is mine. And when I tell you I haven't,
It's really yours.
yeah, it's really mine. Yeah, it's all mine. And I've still had tenants, even with all the COVID and everything going
Right.
on. It's just been,
Well,
So I kind of feel some kind of way as far as when we talk about renting and landlords and all that type stuff, because it was kind of set out that a lot of the landlords were bad people, and
No.
it wasn't the case. A lot of us ended up with bad tenants.
yes.
Yeah.
And Detroit used to be a black homeowners oasis
Exactly.
back in the day.
Exactly.
When the unions were being formed and a lot of people got jobs at the auto industry and folks didn't have to go to college in order to make significant income, the black homeowner base began to really evolve in Detroit. Detroit at one point had the largest black homeowner base in the country,
Exactly.
which you know as a
Exactly.
realtor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And generations were able to build wealth from owning land
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
send their children to college and build nest eggs
Yeah.
and start their own businesses. Detroit, we had 350 black-owned businesses that were part of Black Bottom and Paradise Valley that people your age and your son's age, you're too young to remember, but I remember. We owned hotels
Yeah.
and pharmacies
Yeah.
and all kinds of and hired each other.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There was an economy that was really kept afloat because we supported one another.
Exactly.
We also were in a position where you couldn't rent back then in the white hotels. You couldn't rent, even if you were Nat King Cole, who was a big star at that time. He couldn't rent a space in a white hotel. He couldn't rent a room. Dinah Washington couldn't rent a room. You had to. There were people who were stars that were seen by everybody, white and black audiences. But the black stars couldn't stay. They couldn't eat in the white restaurants, and they couldn't stay in the white hotels. So our people in Detroit built hotels like the Gotham Hotel. We built them out of necessity, and then had restaurants and the surrounding industry to support them.
Exactly.
It So that sense of owning and doing for self was a part of who we were in Detroit. And it's just sad that some of that has slipped away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why we want to honor Rachel Saltmarshall, because she has stepped into not only an outstanding realtor, as she said, past president of the Realtors Association, well respected, dedicated to the field, but then now a contractor. And I mean, she understands everything there is to know about contracting. It's not an easy field.
No,
and
it's
for
not.
a woman,
Yeah, it's not by no stretch of the imagination is it easy, because you have men that they don't want to take direction or be instructed as far as by a woman, and you got some that will sabotage, and
yeah,
I mean it's something. But I've been blessed as far as with the crew and with the team of guys that are in my downline that
Excellent.
I work with, that are respectful, because I'm respectful,
Excellent.
And I mean they're awesome brothers. And again, I don't. One of the other reasons why I think we do so well as far as a team, myself and my son, is because a lot of the groundwork, because we are believers as far as of foundations.
Yes.
So it's like, if the substrate ain't right, whatever you place on top of it, it's not going to last.
My Lord.
So when it comes down to our framing, our floors, our tile floors, our decks, anything and everything that we have to tear apart and
Yes.
rebuild,
Yes.
we put a lot of emphasis and a lot of focus as far as on how that foundation is laid.
Excellent.
We see a lot of jobs that we have to go and do walkthroughs on, and we'll see things that
Shouldn't be.
Exactly. It just makes you.
How did this happen?
And I mean, and some folk, even we were even talking about as far as just utilizing cylinders when
Yes.
and it's just cardboard cylinders,
Right.
And when you pour, your footings as far as for your decks and things like that, and just how, because the transition into the ground is smooth, as the
Right.
ground, raises and lowers and so on and so forth,
Right.
through its freeze thaw seasons, it doesn't catch the concrete. If it's just free poured in after
Right.
a hole is just dug, and it catches the concrete, and then it's heaving and going up and down, as opposed to if you have the cardboard cylinder around it, then it's going up and down around that cylinder, but it's not going to, the ground is not going to drag that concrete up, because now it's not caught in any of the grooves within the concrete. So
Brilliant.
it's simple things like that. And that's why we focus on read the manufacturer's instructions.
That's
They
right.
exist for a reason. You got guys that are like, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'll be quick to say,
They've
what?
been doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And some get angry and will walk off a job and everything. So I just have to make sure that I have, folk, and our team is small. I'm not too, how might I put it, quick to add people, because I need to see
Quality.
exactly
Commitment.
exactly
Staying power.
exactly. And if there isn't that focus as far as on even learning new things, because we're in some type of training at least 2 to 3 times a year, because
Excellent.
things change,
Excellent.
and you got to be ahead and not sitting behind, being that person that said, well, I've been doing it this way for 20 years.
Yes.
When it's evolved 10 years ago.
My.
It changed 10 years ago, and you're still back 20 years.
Wow.
So
We're talking to Rachel Saltmarshall, our very special guest, along with Bryce Burnside. And I want Bryce to say a word about being young, gifted, and black. and already working as a partner with your mother, who's a contractor, was so well respected. She's a realtor and a contractor, and somebody who has a vision for owning and contributing to our community. And you clearly have that same vision, and we're so happy to have you here, Bryce. And you know, I love the family connection. It's good for there to be a family member as part of what your mother has initiated.
Oh yeah, definitely, because that's the main reason for the downfall of a lot of family-owned companies and businesses is that, you know, the parents, they started, but the kids don't want to continue it.
Right.
And so when the parents go, you know, the business goes, the kids want to sell all the assets, they just want to, you know, get rid of everything and do their own thing. And then...
And their own thing falls flat.
Mm-hmm.
The revenue disappears.
Yep.
Asset is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to build on the foundation that has already been laid.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you understand that, so you're wise beyond your years. I love that.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams for the future, Bryce?
For myself or for the company?
Both.
Oh. Well, as far as the company goes, well, I'm trying to focus solely on tile work.
Okay.
And so, you know, Eldwin Rose Construction, you know, we do kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels, deck builds, basements, attics.
Go ahead.
And so it's like, while I enjoy...
I'll give that website name again, because somebody's going to try to look you up.
It's Eldwin Rose Contractors.com. Yeah. And it's like I enjoy doing everything, but I don't. It can become a little overwhelming at times.
Yes.
Especially with it just being us two.
Yes.
And so, as far as the construction company goes, Eldon Rose Construction in the future, I just want to turn it into like an investment company.
Excellent.
So it would
acquiring properties.
Exactly. Yep. And so that way, it can still remain active, and
yes.
I can go on, you know, and just continue doing what I want to do.
That's
tile
right.
work, and just continue doing that. And then eventually, I do want to go back into music, because at my house, I gotta tear out my second bedroom, and that bedroom I was actually gonna turn it into a music studio.
Go ahead. I love it. I love it. Holding on to that first dream while you move forward with your vision.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're doing the right thing, Bryce. Doing the right thing.
Yeah.
When you consider how much history there is in the city of Detroit, with Detroit having the history of Motown, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and the history of great people who have made a difference in this community. Mother Rosa Parks lived in Detroit more years than she lived in Montgomery, Alabama. So we're very blessed to have had that kind of dignitary rooted in our community for long periods. The UAW unions were founded in Detroit. There were no unions until UAW got started in Detroit with Mayor Young's best friend, Dave Moore, who is a man I knew well. He left here in his 90s just a few years ago. Dapper to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Dayton to the end. He never married. A friend of my mother's called me once from a CVS pharmacy line. And she said, "Joanne, do you know a man named Dave Moore?" I said, "I certainly do. He's a co-founder of the UAW. He just asked me out on a date, but I'm 80 years old. I'm too old to be dating, aren't I?" I said, "Well, he's 90. You can go ahead and date him." I said, "You can go ahead.
Goodness.
He can't do nothing to you. Y'all go ahead. Have a good time."
Oh my goodness.
But Detroit is filled with people who have history, who have layers of leadership
Yeah.
and commitment. And we're so glad that you are here and making your a commitment and your dedication and connecting, partnering with your mother. That's genius. That's genius, because some of our people don't follow in the footsteps of their parents, who have laid a foundation that's solid. And it's not wise. It's good to build on something that's been started by your parents. Who were your role models, Rachel, as you came along? Who did you look up to?
Oh gosh, I'm also a licensed cosmetologist.
I love
and
it.
Instructor. So it's the women. It was Miss Thomas. She was my cosmetology, and she was one of my instructors at Crockett Vocational Technical Center, and Miss Williams. But Miss Thomas was the one that that instilled in me to go on and compete in public speaking.
I love that.
And I was like, "Are you sure?" And she was like, I think you'd be awesome at it." So I competed in the what was it, Vocational Industrial Clubs of America, VICA.
I love it.
And I came in, I think, third place the first year, and then I came in second place in prepared speaking.
Go ahead.
My senior year in high school.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah. And then my mom's, just with, it's crazy. Of course we grew up poor. And I remember being in government class, and they wanted us to bring in the income statements as far as what our parents made to
Yes.
see, where it was that we were as it relates to poverty.
Yes.
And I remember bringing mine in, and it said it was like $12,780 for 7 kids.
My Lord.
And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I'm like, we're really, really poor. And it was just, I'm like, 7 kids. And I think at that time, I think the minimum was like, it was like, I don't know, like 30-some, 40-some thousand. I know it needed to be like 3-4 times that.
Right.
For the size of our family.
Right.
Back then. And it was more so of a question like, man, how did she do this? Because we never starved.
Right.
As far as clothing and stuff like that, I didn't have the best of clothing or anything. I got teased in school and all of that, but as far as us, growing up, and there really not being, because there weren't any wants, because it's like when you're poor, it's like you just, I don't know, I didn't really know what else it was that I needed, because the other thing that my mother did was she didn't allow us to like spend the night over everybody's homes and so on and so forth. So we didn't get really to see how people with money and access and so on and so forth, how they actually live, But the friends that we were around were pretty much in the same predicament. So it was like we just didn't know. But the one thing that I knew was that I didn't want to ever have to depend on the system or be in that predicament that my mother was in, because my mother didn't start working till she was like in her I think 40s or something like that, and that was due to Engler saying, hey, either you work or you get cut off.
My Lord.
And so that's when she ended up going back to school, getting her GED and everything, and starting to work. But it was it was more so of a how might I put it? Not so much encouragement, but more so, I'm gonna do everything that I can to just not be in this place that
you had something on the
was
inside.
in. Exactly.
You had drive. You had determination.
Exactly. And then my sisters, you know, they're all, because I'm the oldest of 7.
Come
so,
on now.
You know, it was an opportunity as far as I needed to show them that there was, you know, a better way.
Right.
And so for all of those years, I've always worked for myself. The first and the last company that I ever worked for was Mr. John's studio,
Yes.
Mr. John's hair studio. Ooh, he was a hoot. But
Was he on McNichols?
yeah,
I knew Mr.
yeah,
John.
yeah. Mr. John was
I knew
something
Mr.
else.
John.
Yeah, I actually interned there because I had my cosmetologist license like 3 months before I graduated high
Yes.
school. So I was already making money. So once I graduated, the sky was the limit. I made a lot of money.
I love
doing
it.
hair,
I love it.
You know,
I
but,
was one of Mr. John's customers until he gave the wrong answer to my question about reparations.
Oh wow!
I'm a strong supporter of reparations.
Oh yeah,
Been
me
so
too.
since my adolescence. I was mentored by Reverend Milton Henry, and they called him Richard Henry then, and we began to know him as Dr. Mario Bedelli, some of the founders of the Reparations Ray Jenkins, who is a realtor.
Wow.
Who started the reparations movement in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was absolutely on board with, still am, with reparations.
Exactly.
And I mentioned reparations while getting my hair done and one day, and he overheard me talking to the stylist and started saying some things he shouldn't have been saying about reparations.
Uh-oh.
So at which point, I disembarked from my chair, I bid him adieu, and I went on.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm straight no chaser on reparations.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and bless him, and
Yeah, he was a
Godspeed.
character.
He was a character.
Yeah.
But said the wrong thing about reparations.
Wow.
So I wanted him to understand that I was serious.
Exactly.
I was serious about that. This is not something you ought to be disowning or acting like it's not important, because our people built this country and never got paid.
Exactly. And even with the recent issue as far as with the property taxes and everything, it's like
They need to pay it
come
back.
on now. Exactly.
You overassess, pay them back.
Exactly.
Pay them back.
And now they have a surplus.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not a surplus. It's money owed. It's money owed.
Exactly.
The reparations task force that the citizens voted on,
Yeah.
which got more votes than any people, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
The city council president, they nominated Monica Lewis Patrick, who is the CEO of We the People of Detroit, to be on the reparations task force. And when they asked her, she said, well, why didn't you ask Joanne Watson? She's on every reparations group in the nation.
Wow.
And she's been an activist for decades. Why wouldn't you ask? Oh, we know Mama Watson. She said, you need to ask Mama Watson before you ask me. She's got a much longer tenure on reparations. So after she got through talking to them, I got the call.
Oh, wow.
So I know how I got on the reparations task force. It was by virtue of Monica Lewis Patrick telling them
Wow.
that you shouldn't be inviting me before you invite Mama Watson.
Exactly. Wow.
Oh, thank God. And thank you, Monica Lewis Patrick, who is a sponsor of Wake Up Detroit. Thank you, We the People of Detroit, for sponsoring Wake Up Detroit. And thank you for telling them to put me on the reparations task force. My. I want to take a break now, but I want you to give your phone number and your website one more time before we break.
AldwinRoseContractors.com, and we are actually located at 13015 Puritan. We're in Detroit, 48227.
Hey.
And our telephone number is 313-974-7274. That is the direct line to the office. And of course, if we're not in, because we're out in the field and we're working our projects, I am hands-on.
Yes, she is. I can testify. I can testify. She's done hands-on work for my church, Westside Unity Church, and y'all need to come by the church sometime, like 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, and praise the Lord. And
You heard that, Bryce?
praise God. Praise God,
That's
from
right.
whom all blessings flow, every Sunday morning, and I want y'all to come. But we are blessed to have the wonderful leadership of this magnificent contractor who's in our city. She could live anywhere, But she's in
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more to Rachel Saltmarshall and Bryce Burnside right after this very short break. Wake up, Detroit.
We, the People of Detroit, is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, We, the People of Detroit, aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000 or contact us via email at ombudsman@detroitmi.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
The courtroom belongs to the people. Doesn't belong to the judge, doesn't belong to the lawyers, does not belong to any individual, but is an entity which belongs to the people.
That was my mother, Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, the third female jurist in the state of Michigan. She taught me to follow in her judicial footsteps, to be fair but firm, and that the courtroom belongs to the people. Deborah Geraldine Bledsoe Ford.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree. We are living through unprecedented times with a global pandemic now approaching its third year. As a result, the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund was created. This fund, administered by the state of Michigan, is designed to help homeowners cope with pandemic-related hardships, such as delinquent property taxes. To see if you qualify, please visit. Call 313-388-9799 or email taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson. Welcome back. And we're so blessed to have Rachel Saltmarshall in the house, Bryce Burnside in the house. And we're learning all about her life as a contractor and her life as a realtor. She's also a wife and mother. And I saw her and her husband do ballroom dancing at Bert's Place downtown. She had the crowd absolutely speechless. I mean, they tore up the floor. Tore it up doing ballroom. I loved it. Loved it. And, you know, I also love the fact that our church was able to go to a black-owned venue like Bert's Place, Bert's Warehouse, to have our anniversary event.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Why not, if you're going to pay somebody to have an event like that, why not give it back to your own community?
Exactly.
Let it circulate in
Exactly.
black hands.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody. We need to support ourselves deliberately and not run to take our money to somebody who doesn't even necessarily respect us
Exactly.
or like us.
Exactly.
Why not support ourselves? That's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I want us to think about, if we need a realtor, go to somebody who's a part of the National Realtors, the association you used to be the president, that you're still a member of.
Yes. We actually, our inaugural is, or our swearing in is actually this next week. It's next week, I think Monday or Tuesday. I think it's next week.
Okay.
Monday.
All right.
Yeah. I just came back as a director.
I love
And
it.
so we'll be sworn in next week.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a worthwhile profession because it keeps you rooted in the whole notion of property ownership.
It does. It does. And we're actually this year I decided to pivot because I've been doing, in a sense, property management for the banks because, as I stated earlier, I've been an REO broker for over 20 years.
Excellent.
And so, you know, there's just this
REO broker for 20 years. Did you get that?
Yeah. And so we've always dealt with, you know, distressed properties.
Yes.
And, you know, and then, you know, making sure that, you know, people occupying those properties, you know, receive some sort of compensation in order
Right.
to move and things like that. And, you know, numerous properties we've actually gotten the banks to give back to folk. Even sometimes we've had tenant occupied properties where the landlord, you know, lost the property and the tenants were there. I remember I had one where the young girl, she had like 5 kids. It was over on the east side, and I remember coming to her and saying, you know what, the bank is gonna give you the house.
Praise God. Praise
And
God.
she
Look
was
at
just
that.
like, wow. So
Look
it's
at
like,
God. Look at
yeah,
God.
yeah. All of the banks weren't bad as far as in their dealings during that whole crisis era. But you know, again, you know, just dealing with those type of situations, and I don't know why I waited this long to decide to actually go into property management, you know, as far as with the brokerage as a whole,
Right.
You know, but you know, I've
What a
gone and
wonderful
I've-
field.
Yeah, and especially if you're all about making sure that, you know, that landlord is not only made whole as far as in the type of renovation that you do to those properties and everything, but
Right.
also in the treatment of the tenants, the treatment of their funds,
Come on
and
now.
making sure that they get paid what they're supposed to get paid.
Yes.
And because I've gone to some properties where, and I know a few people that manage quite a bit of real estate in the city, and I've gone to some of these properties and just to see the rehabs, they look beautiful online. But then it's like you get to them and it's like,
Uh-oh.
what in the
Uh-oh.
It's like, and the investor many a times is out of the country, so
Yeah,
they're not even
not
here.
even out of city, out
Yeah.
of state, out of the country.
Exactly. And so
My.
of course they're sent a set of pictures that, you know, where that rehab looks like it's slapping, but you know, I've walked through, I just went to one where 2 beams were, or 2 of the posts were missing in the basement.
Wow.
And I guess they just removed them because they wanted this wide open space, you know, because everybody's going in,
But
taking
then you
out low
compromise
walls
the
and things like
infrastructure.
that. Exactly.
If you remove the beams
Huge
and the posts.
noticeable dip in the floor.
Uh-oh.
And it's like, and
Uh-oh.
then you can see, you know, somebody probably told them, well, it's a 6x6 beam. It'll be fine. It's spanning 14 feet. You know, it's good.
Yeah, but they
there's a
live in
noticeable
another
dip.
country.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, you know, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, did they know? Was this purposely
Well,
done?
the other thing
And-
that makes your role as a property manager, as a realtor, as a contractor so valuable is that you live here.
Exactly.
You were
Born and
educated.
raised,
You were
all
born
my
and
property
raised
is
here.
Yeah.
And there are too many people who are investing, accessing properties in Detroit who are from out of city, out of state, out of the country,
Exactly.
who are getting it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. That's not right.
Exactly.
Meanwhile,
Exactly.
Detroit citizens have been overtaxed, overassessed.
Yeah.
People who have been taking care of the property next to them, cutting the grass, shoveling the snow, who should be given the property next to them if they've been taking care of it, managing the property,
Yeah.
are being treated as if they don't matter.
Exactly. And or properties, because I've been called by numerous people where it's like it may be a property that's owned by the land bank, but then it hasn't been placed on the market or anything. It hasn't been put in to buy it now, but this person found interest as far as in the property, and then they want to just purchase it outright. But then instead of getting first dibs on it, it's, well, you know what, we're gonna put it online, and now you got to bid along with everybody else, instead of giving that
Right.
person from Detroit,
Right.
you know, access to it, because hey, it's sitting, it's
That's right.
deteriorating. Just let me take it off your hands, and you know. But it's like, nope, it has to go through the auction, this, that, and the third.
Well, that's
and
why I
it's
voted
like-
against land bank when I was on city council.
Yeah.
I knew before it came. I already knew.
Yeah.
Because if you look at what has happened with land banks in other cities,
Yeah.
in New York, in other area, Cleveland, all over the country, where land banks have, the next thing you know, there's gentrification.
Exactly. Because I you know, I've questioned as far as who's you know, driving through these areas and making the decision to tear a home down when you have a full block,
Right.
full block of homes.
Right.
And you turn around and you tear a home down in that block, and now you've blighted it.
Right.
You know, by tearing that home down, when that home could have very well been rehabbed, and that block could have stayed whole.
That's exactly right. And if you've got a city that has 40,000 city-owned properties,
Yeah.
and you also have 30,000 homeless people,
Yeah.
let the homeless people move into the homes
Exactly.
owned by the city. Let them rehabilitate the houses and put them back on the tax base.
Exactly.
That's a smart thing to
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
Instead of spending much too much to tear down, demolish a house. I know what it used to cost to demolish a house. It used to be between $5,000 and $10,000. Now it's
Yeah,
$25,000 and
it's
$30,000.
skyrocketed now,
That's-
yeah.
That's because folks, whoever the firm, the demolition firms, now they're contributing to somebody's campaign fund. Help me, Holy
Exactly.
Ghost. Y'all didn't say
Exactly.
that. I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace before God.
Exactly. And it's like,
And
you know,
land
what do
is
you do?
wealth.
Yeah.
Land
it
is we need to acquire all the property we can.
Exactly. It's just I don't get it, because we have now I believe it's Sorrento. I think they've torn down it's either 2 or 3 homes within that block, and that block, it was a full block. When you drove down there, it was completely full. I think there was maybe one lot, but it was fenced in. You know, and someone had already, you know, gotten that lot and grassed it in and everything. But other than that, that block could have remained whole.
Sure.
You know, so it's just,
But
I don't get
There's
it.
some box now. It looks like a bomb hit it.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
Yeah. And then you have homes that, because I thought that they were gonna, you know, focus on, you know, some of the vacant homes, putting roofs on them, putting windows,
Right.
you know, as far as in them and everything, and keeping them from deteriorating even further. There's a home right off of Puritan. I can't remember the other streets. Corner house, frame house. And I've
I think
watched
it's
that
Biltmore.
home. Is it Biltmore?
Yeah, Gilchrist is one of them.
Yeah, that home sat for years. And I remember that there really wasn't an issue as far as with the roof, but then it started out with a small area of the roof being deteriorated, and then
Yes.
over time it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, of course, not only do you have roof damage, you also have flooring, wall,
The infrastructure's been
structural,
damaged.
exactly, all down that side of the property. I think someone got it, and they put a tarp on it, and that's another thing. People want to be cheap on the tarps. You know, if you want a tarp to last, you got to buy a more expensive tarp.
Right.
You know, but it's like the way that this home has deteriorated, it's kind of hard to secure it. So of course the windstorms blew it back. Now the tarp is like shredding again.
Wow.
And the home is just experiencing even more damage. And it's like, who makes the decision as far as on, you know, because now we have the land bank in competition as far as with, you know, folk who want to, you know, purchase these land bank
Right.
homes. So they're getting the cream of the crop, renovating them, and then
But-
selling them.
Right.
And then to the public, you get the ones that are, in such disrepair, and it's
The
like
drag.
6 months, to do these properties, and it's like,
The best
it's
properties are
gonna
being
take
handed
more.
off to people, investors who don't live here.
Yeah, yeah,
People that don't live here, that have no long-term commitment to the city.
Exactly.
That are trying to flip it and make great profit
yeah,
off this land base. And
Yeah.
it's not fair. It's not
Exactly.
equitable.
No,
It's not righteous.
no. It's so. It's just. I don't know.
Which
and
is
it's-
why we celebrate Rachel Saltmarshall. We celebrate you because here you are, a young woman who is
I feel old.
you're not old.
This
You're a young
50-year-old body is just.
No,
it's.
you are a young woman with a young son following in her footsteps as a contractor, as a realtor, as a property manager. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. We want to salute you because we need more of our people who are from Detroit giving back to the city,
Yeah.
who love the city, who are not working here but living 30 miles away. You live here.
Exactly.
And you were born here. You are educated here. And you're giving back. And doing it with your family at your side, which is magnificent.
Yep.
We thank God for the treasure that you are,
Thank you.
for the example that somebody's watching right now who's saying, if Rachel Saltmarshall can do it, I can do it.
That's right. That's right.
If she can be a realtor
That's right.
and a property manager and a contractor, I can do that. Sure you can.
Exactly.
And if Bryce can do it at 22, 21, I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it. And build my own destiny,
Exactly.
standing on the shoulders of my parent, and also building a future for my children and their children, because we were not brought here to work for somebody else.
Exactly.
We need to work for ourselves,
Exactly.
support ourselves, love ourselves. When we consider how much we've been blessed and the history of this particular community, we should not have to be sitting around waiting on somebody to do for us. We can do for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can, and that sets a brand new standard for our brothers and our sisters. I believe we ought to have fiscal literacy classes in schools, so that young people understand the importance of investing their money and not buying bling bling every time they get their hands on a little something.
Exactly.
Invest your money. Save your
Exactly.
money. Look at how you can, instead of cashing your checks at the corner store where they're going to take a commission out of your income tax refund, establish an account with a credit union or a financial institution that will respect you,
Exactly.
and use it as leverage. Because people who are able to borrow money are people who already have some money invested.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the way that works. And we don't have enough financial literacy
Yeah.
made accessible to our young people. So many of them go to college, and the first thing that happens is they get a credit card mailed to them while they're in the dormitory,
Yeah.
and they end up ruining their credit before they're fully adults.
Exactly. Exactly.
So having a business mind, as you both have, having a sense of commitment to your community, having a love for yourself, and a self-determination, that's the top of the mountain.
Exactly.
That's the mountaintop, and that's what has been stressed by those persons who have done the best in our community. They work for themselves.
Yeah.
They work for themselves. They're not. One of the things I loved about the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, I just love saying his name. Best mayor we ever had, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young. When he was in office, he made sure that every department in the city that was audited by a white CPA firm also got audited by a black CPA firm.
Oh, wow.
He created millionaires. He made sure that the water department, which is the largest asset owned by the city, in fact, the city was never bankrupt. That was a lie, unconstitutional,
Wow.
illegal. He made sure that there were black contractors who had the wherewithal, had the capacity to become major contractors within the water department.
Wow.
He did that. He didn't just take care of himself. He didn't leave here with any great big personal holding. He took care of his people. He loved this community, and he made sure that he built a platform for others to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly like Dr. King. Dr. King left here at 39, God rest his soul. He didn't leave any wealth for himself. Harry Belafonte paid for his children to go to college.
Wow.
He didn't build a financial chest for his own family. He took care of his people. That's what Mayor Young did. He took care of his people. He honored the people in the city of Detroit by making sure that they had access to contractors' positions. And if he had known your mother, he would have gotten her inside the system and made sure that somebody who looked just like her was benefiting from the city while he was in charge. And that's exactly what people need to do. When you have access to positions of power, use them to help your people.
Exactly.
Help your people. And I want Rachel Saltmarshall and I want Bryce Burnside to give your information so folks can reach you if they want to reach you. It's such a wonderful thing to have you as a guest on Wake Up Detroit.
Again, my name is Rachel Saltmarshall, also known as the Black Lady Contractor.
My.
And we are at 13015 Puritan, Detroit, Michigan, 48227. Our telephone number is 313-974-7274. And, of course, the website is www.aldwinrosecontractors.com.
Bryce Burnside.
Yeah, my name is Bryce Burnside. I go by the Black Man Contractor.
Come on now.
I mean, the number and the website is the same, but we also have social media on Instagram.
Go ahead.
She's the Black Lady Contractor, and the Black Man Contractor.
Say it.
And then we also have a next door page called the Black Lady Contractors Corner.
My.
And I think we also have that page on Facebook as well.
Facebook is Ask the Black Lady Contractor.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. But we're so happy, and we're going to have you back again. You've already, the phone line is burning up. Folks want to talk to you. So we're going to have to let you come back and just answer questions that come from the community, from the public.
That would be awesome.
What a blessing it is
That
to
would be awesome.
have had both of you as very special guests on Wake Up Detroit. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege. And I want everybody out here to know that the boss, the person that owns the station, has called. Mr. R.J. Watkins has called. Asking for all their information, which Mama Watson is going to provide. I want you to know that this is a wonderful day. This is the day the Lord has made, and we rejoice and we're glad in it. This is the day that I want you to take time for you. Take time to meditate. Take time to strengthen your relationship with the Most High God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Wake up, Detroit.
We, the people of Detroit, is dedicated to community coalition building and to the provision of resources that inform, train, and mobilize the citizens of Detroit and beyond to improve their quality of life. As a community-based grassroots organization, we, the people of Detroit, aim to inform, educate, and empower Detroit residents on imperative issues surrounding civil rights, land, water, education, and the democratic process. For more information, call 844-42-WATER, 844-42-WATER, or email wethepeopleofdetroit.com.